So as well as the easier 24-hour time where we simply read the hours on one side and the minutes on the other side of the dot or colon, we also have to be able to read with an analog clock, and it's a little bit trickier. So how do we go about doing it? Well, the first thing to note is the two hands on a clock. You've got a longer one and a shorter one. The shorter one tells us the hours and the longer one tells us the minutes. There is sometimes a second hand on the clock, but don't worry about that one. The hours hand, if you notice by here, it's between 1 and 2. So is it on the 1 hour? Is it on the 2 hour? Well, the way to work it out is, remember that clocks always go clockwise. So if you go backwards, that is the hour that it's currently on. So if we take this hand backwards, what we call anti-clockwise, we get to the number 1. So at the moment, the hour is 1 in this clock. So first of all, we've got some basic times that are a little bit different to the others where we don't use numbers. Our first one on the left here is when the big hand is on the 12, we use the word o'clock. We don't say the number of minutes. So for instance here, the small hand is on the 4, the big hand is on the 12, so it's 4 o'clock. I didn't say 400 or 40 as I would do in 24-hour time. Instead, I say 4 o'clock. Again, by here, it's a quarter of the way around the clock, the circle. So we don't say that the hand, large hand, is on the 3 or at 15 minutes. We say that it's quarter past. The reason why it's past is it's because the 12 is the start of this clock, so it's gone a quarter of the way past that 12. So in this case, the small hand is just passing the 2. So just like I said, go backwards to find out what hour it is. So it's the second hour. So it's going to be quarter past 2. Next, when the large hand is on the 6, it's halfway around, so we say it's half past. And again, we look up the number of hours with this. You see that the small hand has passed the 7, so if we go backwards, it takes us to the 7, so we know it's half past 7. And then finally, with this last one, we've got the small hand going towards the 12, and it's a quarter of the way left. So instead of saying quarter past, we say quarter to. There's only a quarter to the 12. We don't say 3/4 past, we say a quarter of the way to, quarter to. Well, if we look at this small hand, we take it backwards, it would have been on the 2, so quarter, but it's approaching the 3. So we'd say quarter to 3. So you might get a little bit confused, but when using the to and the past is the hour if we go backwards to find it, whereas when we're looking for the hour to say to, it's the one that we're going towards, hence the 3. So when it's on the 12, we use o'clock. When it's on the 3, we use quarter past. When it's on the 6, we use half past. And when it's on the 9, we use quarter to. So apart from o'clock and half past, all these times going upwards towards the 12 clockwise are considered 2. So we'd have 22, 18 to, 9 to, yeah? And we always use the hour that it's approaching, that the little hand is moving towards. And if we're coming down the other side of the clock, if the large hand is on this side anywhere, we say it's past, 13 minutes past, 40 minutes past, 20 minutes past, and so on. But you always have to count from the top. Now the reason for this is if we were down here and let's say it had gone 10 minutes past here, and we'll see how to read that in a minute. If we did that, it's not 10 to, because all this time is left. It's from here that there's 10 minutes to go. And so when we count around from here, that would be 10 of these little marks. So always count from the top. If we were on the first mark here, it would be 1 minute past. And if we were on the first mark here, it would be 1 minute to. Now, each of these numbers is 5 minutes. If you look, the little dots represent a minute, the little marks. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the large numbers help us to show which hour it is. But what we have to do is make sure that to work out the number of minutes, we multiply the number by 5. So for instance, in this case, the distance from the top is two of these numbers. 12 take away 10 is 2. So we multiply that by 5 to tell us, right, is actually 10 minutes to, because notice I'm counting from the top. So that would be, the 11 would be 5 minutes to, the 10 would be 10 minutes to. So I looked at the number of hours, which is 2, multiplied it by 5, and that told me it's 10 to. And remember, when we're going towards, we go onwards to the next hour. So this time is 10 to 2. We can also say it as 1:50. A reason for that is that it's past the 1 hour, and if we count it around this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, multiply it by 5 is 50. So the other way of saying that is that it's 1:50. It's either 10 to 2 or 1:50. Remember as well that each one of these marks is a minute. So if it was by here, for instance, it would be 2 times 5 is 10, and that extra minute, it's 11 minutes to. So as I said, the alternative way of saying 10 minutes to 2 is look at the large hand is on the 10, multiply it by 5 is 50. So the other way of saying it is it's 1:50, 10 minutes to 2 or 1:50. Remember that in analog clocks, we often use this 12-hour time and 24-hour time. Analog clocks don't really use 24-hour time, but we can convert it, which we'll look at in another video. We can sort of like read digital clocks can use 12-hour time or 24-hour time, but we tend to associate them with 24-hour time, whereas analog clocks, because they've got 12 numbers on them, we tend to associate them with 12 hours time. But the problem with that is that how do we tell morning and afternoon apart? There's a 1 o'clock in the morning and a 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The answer to that is if it's the times in the morning, we put an AM after it, and that tells us it's the morning. So any time from 000 to 11:59 would have an AM after it to tell us that is in the morning. So for instance, 7:32 tells us that it's AM tells us it's the 7:32 in the morning when the sun is coming up. Notice how midnight is part of the morning, like we said, was 24 hours. So really you'd have a AM for this one. But you should notice as well, after saying that, we don't usually actually say 0:00 AM. Instead, what we say is 12. So in 24-hour clock, you'd say 0:00. In 12-hour time, in usually used on analog clocks, we say 12 o'clock, but because it's midnight, it's 12 o'clock in the morning. If we want to show that something's in the afternoon, we put a PM on the end. So any time from 12 midday to 23:59 would have a PM on it. So what we did use as a 24-hour clock, what we'd use for midnight being 00, in 24-hour time we use 12 AM. What we use for midday in 24-hour time, 1200, we use as midday, and hence we put a PM at the end of it. So this 5:51 PM would be a time in the evening, because the